Hey guys, Paul here from FamilyWheels.ca. Thanks for tuning in. I brought you to the most German possible place that I could find, in Canada anyway, this German deli and gift shop, to talk with you about this vehicle I've got behind me here, the Audi Q5. This is the 2015 model, but we might as well be talking about the 2016 here as well, because Audi won't be making any real changes to the 2016 model. In fact, we won't be seeing a redesign from Audi on this until the 2017-2018 year. The Q5 has been with us in North America since 2009, and this latest version has been around since 2013. And it's Audi's play at a mid-sized SUV. You can get the smaller Q3 and the much larger Q7, but the Q5 is that nice middle ground for families that are looking to just jump around town or do a trip out to the mountains. Now, a souped up, dressed up Volkswagen, this is not. In fact, Audi has been trying really hard over the last couple of years to differentiate itself from the Volkswagen brand. So you couldn't even get an equivalent of the Q5 in the Volkswagen line, in fact. So different engines, different chassis, it's altogether a different vehicle. Let's take it for a little drive, see how it does around town for families, and see what kind of smart technologies there are in this Q5 SUV. Now, the A4 sedan and wagon is king when it comes to worldwide sales for Audi, but here in Canada, it's the Q5. That's the vehicle that sells the most here on Canadian soil, and it's no wonder. Between its amazing all-wheel drive performance, it's that little bit of extra ground clearance for winter driving. It's a really great vehicle for us here in Canada. And actually, you can count my mother among those who've bought one. For years, she drove Nissans and Subarus to drive us to and from soccer practice, whatever. And they were good enough cars. I would always ask her, "What do you think of your car, Mum?" And she'd say, in her Australian accent, "Well, it goes when the light turns green." It goes when the light turns green. Her way of saying, it's a fine car, it gets me around, but it's nothing to write home about. She always wanted to have an Audi. And when we left home and she retired, she got her wish. And for a couple of years now, she's had a Q5. And it's actually the 2-liter 4-cylinder Q5 that my mom drives around. I didn't think it would be enough engine for a mid-sized SUV, but actually it's pretty good. That's largely because of the turbo that's put on it, but also because it has a beautiful 8-speed automatic transmission that is really smart, it's smooth, and it makes driving that 2-liter, even with the trailer full of fish that I was driving back from northern Vancouver Island back down south a couple weeks ago, it makes it more than comfortable with that 2-liter. Today, I've got the pleasure of being in the 3-liter diesel engine. And you know what? I mean, of course, Volkswagen and Audi were the company that really brought those European, quieter, more refined diesels to the North American market years ago, and I expected to have that same kind of performance, and it's no surprise that this continues to be a fantastic diesel. I'm getting about 8.5, 9 liters per 100 kilometers driving it around the city here today. For people who even want to bump it up the next level, performance-wise, they can get the 3-liter 6-cylinder engine, the TFSI, which Audi is also doing really well with in terms of sales. According to Glenmore Audi, the dealership that gave us this car for the day, the Q5 sees about 40% of its sales go to the 2-liter 4-cylinder, 40% go to the diesel engine, and the last 20% to the larger 6-cylinder. Alright guys, time for a couple of our standardized tests that we do on every vehicle at FamilyWheels.ca. First up is our trunk test. Let's open up the rear lift gate, which is powered, by the way, and have a look inside. Okay, because every one of our vehicles has the same amount of stuff put in the back to see how it does. 2 bags of groceries, a backpack, a diaper bag, a stroller folded up, and a soccer ball. And that's looking pretty good. To put this into perspective, my folks, actually, as I've mentioned before, have a Q5, and they have 2 100-pound dogs, massive dogs, both of whom can fit back here. That does give the Q5 a good testament, and it means that I'll give it a trunk score of 4 out of 5. Pretty respectable for a mid-sized SUV. Going around here to the back seat, where I have Roger's rear-facing child seat in place, which do soak up quite a bit of space. And you can see here I've adjusted the front seat to make room for it. So how's our front passenger legroom doing? Well, it's a little bit of a short supply here in legroom, in fact. We're looking at around 11 inches worth of legroom. That's that makes it pretty tight for me. It's just over 6 feet tall. I'm gonna get in here, see what I'm talking about. Headroom's not bad. It's actually pretty good here for me, but legroom, it'll do the trick for a quick drive around town, but for a big trip, that would get pretty tight for me pretty fast. All right, so once your kids are out of those pesky rear-facing child seats and you have a bit more room to play around with in the back, let's take a look at what legroom looks like for you. You know, on that recent fishing trip that I was telling you about, we actually had 4 adults in this car, and I did spend some time in the back as well. And the headroom was exceptional. The rear legroom, not bad either. You can take a look here. Audi has carved out the backs of the front seats to create kind of a bit of a pocket for your legs and shins to fit. And it's not bad back here, even for longer road trips. This Technique package also includes heated seats in the back for passengers, but that doesn't come on lower models. One thing I really like about the newer Q5s is that there's a handle actually underneath all of the seats in the rear space that you can pull and then slide the seats forward or backward depending on how much more cargo space you need. So if you have small passengers in the back or nobody in the back and want a little bit more space for a Costco run, then you can do just that by sliding the seats forward a little bit. And if you really want to jumbo size your Costco run, you pull this little handle right here, the seats fold flat quite easily, and all of a sudden you're bringing home a big screen TV. Okay, let's talk about driver position here for a minute, because it is a really nice place to be as a driver in this vehicle. The seats are comfortable and supportive. The suspension in this car, even though it is rather high, is fairly firm, so you don't feel like you're in a big sloppy SUV. In fact, when my wife was driving this around today, she was saying that she wished she wasn't just on side roads here in the city. She really wanted to open this thing up, and I never hear that from Devin. She's not a race car driver, and this car kind of gives you that sense that it just wants to go. A couple of things that people aren't crazy about with this vehicle. If you're a smaller driver, this isn't an issue for me, but these side mirrors are actually pretty huge, and they come from the Q7, Audi's largest SUV. And if you're driving along as a smaller driver and you don't have your seat set just right, these actually act as a fairly large blind spot. It could create some close calls with pedestrian traffic out there on the roads. Another thing I'm not wild about is the infotainment system, the central entertainment system. It's not particularly intuitive. It's taken me quite a bit of time to understand how to set navigation, how to deal with the radio. It's not a touch screen, and I don't love that. You have to actually go down here and select everything on these positions, and then use this dial here as well to dial things in. It seems a little bit archaic to me, and it would be nice to see Audi up their game on their central entertainment system just a little bit. Alright guys, I'm wrapping up the review today at the most Mexican place that I could find in town, because the Q5 is going to actually be built in Audi's new Mexico production facility. It's going to be made mostly for the European market at first. Production will start around 2016, summer, spring, in there sometime. We're not going to see it in North America until 2017, 2018. However, this has a lot of people freaked out. They're thinking, what's it going to do to Audi's build quality? The thing about it is that Audi is saying that most of its staff at this facility are actually going to be German for the first little while, to try and keep an eye on quality standards until they can get their Mexican staff up to grade. The things that I really like about the Audi are things that are currently in the vehicle. It's got a great sporty ride. Some people might say a little bit too sporty. Its suspension is rather stiff. The other thing that people love is the fact that it has a top safety pick rating from the IIHS. Good in all categories there. So a lot of reasons why the Q5, as it stands right now, is a great option. Also some great options in terms of the engines that you can get in this vehicle. Of course, big question for me today was, would it be better to go with the gas option or the diesel? You know, while I did have a Twitter follower say to me that the diesel wins out hands down because of the torque numbers, and it has great get up and go when you're driving around town, I don't know, I really do like that 4-cylinder 2-liter engine. It's got a nice pickup to it. It's got good get up and go. It's peppy. It's still very frugal on gas. And you know what? It comes in at around $7,000 less than its diesel equivalent in the Q5. So my thought, $7,000, that's a fair bit of money. Why not think about saving that money, maybe taking your family on a trip? I don't know, pick up some rays and head south of the border to Mexico and see where this new Q5 that we'll be seeing in a couple of years is going to be made.